He's 5 feet 5 inches, looks like a featherweight, walks quiet, and smiles even quieter. But every time Gervonta Tank Davis steps into the ring, you can feel the tension in the air shift, like a fuse has been lit, and everyone's just waiting for the boom. In a sport full of talkers and tap dancers, Tank doesn't waste words. He doesn't chase attention. He just takes souls. And what's more terrifying? The greatest minds in boxing, the legends who've seen it all, aren't just impressed. They're in awe. This isn't hype, this is recognition. From Tyson to Mayweather, from Bernard Hopkins to Andre Ward, Gervonta Davis has drawn praise that boxers don't hand out lightly. It's not just the knockouts, it's the timing, the footwork, the composure, the calculated violence. So in this video, we break down what these legends see when they watch Tank Davis work, and why they believe we're witnessing one of the most dangerous fighters of this generation rise in real time.
Buena suerte, good luck.
One of the biggest punchers in Gervonta Davis, number one, the 130-pound belt holder, Santa Colder, Gervonta Davis in the red.
Mike Tyson doesn't hand out compliments like candy. When he praises a fighter, it's because he sees something primal, something that reminds him of himself. And when Tyson talks about Gervonta Davis, the admiration cuts deep. Tank is a great fighter. He'll be a legend too if he keeps fighting, Tyson said. But the quote alone doesn't carry the full weight. What matters is why Iron Mike sees a reflection in Tank. It's not just the knockouts, it's the demeanor. That deadpan calm before the eruption. That look in the eyes, like someone who knows exactly how and when he's going to end you.
Comparing Tank Davis to you, I mean, what do you think about that?
Tank's a great fighter.
You think he's a great fighter? What do they think? What do you think about him comparing to you? I mean, you're a legend, my friend.
Well, he'll be one too if he keeps fighting.
Tyson built his legacy on fear. He weaponized it. Tank doesn't growl like Tyson, but the effect is the same. He stalks, he waits, and when he finally lets that left hand go, it's not a punch. It's a punishment. Against Rolando Romero, Davis stayed composed for 6 full rounds. He didn't chase, he didn't rush. And then one slip, one mistake. Romero stepped in, chin up. Tank launched that counter left like a detonation. Game over. That's not wild aggression. That's precision fury. That's why Tyson respects him, not for being loud, but for being lethal. Floyd Mayweather has never been subtle about protecting his brand. He only associates with greatness, and when he decided to mentor Gervonta Davis, it wasn't just a business move, it was a stamp of approval from one of the most calculating minds in boxing history. Floyd didn't just hype Tank for his power, he praised the way Davis thinks, and coming from a man who made an entire career out of not getting hit, that means more than most fans realize. Floyd once said, "Tank's the top dog. He gonna keep going out there proving he's the best." But the real story lies in what Mayweather saw in Tank behind closed doors, an ability to learn, adapt, and execute like a natural-born problem solver in gloves. Floyd doesn't teach fighters how to brawl. He teaches timing, distance, angles, trap setting. He teaches chess. And Davis? He soaked it up like a sponge. You can see it in the way he dissects opponents round by round. Against Yuriorkis Gamboa, Davis faced a crafty veteran with a tricky style and solid chin. For the first few rounds he probed, felt out the patterns, and then, like a wire tripped under the floorboards, Tank started springing counters. He didn't just overwhelm Gamboa, he unraveled him. And it's not just adjustments during fights. Watch his footwork. The way he cuts the ring, not with wasted steps, but with economy. Davis doesn't burn energy chasing. He makes you drift into a corner. He leaves windows open just long enough for you to step into them. This is where Mayweather's influence really shows. Not in how Davis throws punches, but in how he doesn't. It's restraint. It's control. It's the knowledge that the most dangerous shot is the one you didn't see because you thought it was safe to breathe. Even when Floyd and Davis had friction outside the ring, that foundation never disappeared. You can still see Floyd's fingerprints in the way Tank dismantles opponents with poise and patience, power without recklessness, speed without waste, and timing that doesn't blink. You don't just teach that, you recognize it, and you sharpen it. Floyd saw it early, and now the whole world's catching up. Andre Ward was never the flashiest fighter. He didn't need to be. He was surgical, an undefeated technician who built his legacy not on chaos, but control. So when Ward praises someone, it's not because they entertain, it's because they impress on a cerebral level. And when he talks about Gervonta Davis, he highlights something fans often overlook: patience. Ward said it plainly. You cannot deny what he's done, you cannot deny what he generates, and you cannot deny the performances. That last part, that's where the respect lives. Because what Davis does in the ring isn't just violent, it's methodical. Tank doesn't hunt like a brawler. He stalks like a sniper, quiet, calculated, never wasting a bullet. His fight against Mario Barrios proved this in the clearest terms. Barrios was taller, longer, and undefeated. On paper, it looked like a risk. But Davis treated it like a puzzle, not a war. Early rounds were all about data. He let Barrios work, let him throw, let him get confident. And then, when the rhythm was mapped, Tank hit the switch, a left uppercut, a liver shot, a knockdown that looked almost casual in its cruelty. Barrios wasn't just getting hit, he was getting broken.
And Davis!
Something seems like Davis is looking for a knockout.
By Barrios. Barrios is down! Topping the arm! And a result!
Ward knows how rare that is. Most power punchers chase knockouts. Davis? He builds them, shot by shot, round by round, until the other guy forgets what comfort felt like. He doesn't smother you. He opens you up and lets the doubt settle in. When Barrios got dropped, he didn't even argue, because deep down, he knew what Ward knew. This isn't just a slugger, it's a surgeon with a hammer. And what's scarier is that Tank doesn't get impatient. He's not rattled when he loses early rounds. He doesn't overreact when his opponent scores points. He knows something the crowd doesn't, that all it takes is one clean connection and it's over. That kind of confidence doesn't come from hype. It comes from experience, from thousands of rounds in the gym, and from being so sure of your ability that time becomes your ally, not your enemy.
Real quick, Ryan versus Tank. You know, everybody's talking about that fight.
You got a favorite Tank in that. I mean, it's not a gimme fight for either guy, but you got a favorite Tank based on the experience, the better opposition, and the punching power of Tank and his boxing ability. But
Bernard Hopkins doesn't throw around legacy talk lightly. This is a man who fought well into his 50s, unified divisions, and beat Father Time with nothing but discipline and ring IQ. So when he says someone like Gervonta Davis has Hall of Fame potential, you don't dismiss it. You study it. Hopkins once said of Tank, that power is real. That's Hall of Fame power. And he didn't mean highlight reel knockouts alone. He meant the kind of power that changes how opponents fight you before you even touch them. What Hopkins respects most is what power does, how it bends the will of another man. And Tank's power isn't just heavy, it's clean, it's compact, it's shocking. That KO against Leo Santa Cruz, that wasn't a wild shot. That was a 6-inch uppercut mid-combination that turned Santa Cruz's lights off before he hit the floor. Hopkins, who built his game on control and discipline, sees in Davis a rare blend of explosive athleticism and precise mechanics. Hopkins has also hinted at something deeper, what he calls fighting intelligence under pressure. Because lots of fighters hit hard in sparring, fewer still carry that power late into a fight. and even fewer land it perfectly when the stakes are highest. That's what Davis did against Garcia. The shot he landed wasn't just timed, it was engineered. He knew the body was open. He baited the high guard. He closed the space with a left that didn't just drop Ryan, it froze him. That's why Hopkins sees Tank not as a momentary attraction, but a generational force. Because Davis isn't a fighter who depends on power. He's a fighter who chooses to use it, and that distinction is everything. When a puncher gets tired, his power fades. But when a technician like Davis gets tired, the setups don't go away. The traps still spring. The damage just takes a little longer. And as Bernard would say, those are the kind of fighters who keep winning after the knockouts stop. That's what makes them last. That's what gets them into the hall.
Tank is worried. Tank had a problem making weight. Look at his skin. Look how ashy he look. So y'all don't know about the body. You say it's business to do those tactics. But how do you feel when he make weight, looks healthy?
Teddy Atlas doesn't hype fighters, he dissects them. He pulls apart performances like a mechanic inspecting an engine, brutally honest, relentlessly sharp. And when he talks about Gervonta Davis, his tone shifts. It's not fanfare, it's respect laced with alarm. He can do everything, Atlas said. Forget about the fact that he is the hardest puncher. He is also a terrific counterpuncher, can set traps. Right now, he's the full package. For a man who's trained world champions and called thousands of rounds ringside, that's a rare kind of endorsement. Atlas sees through flash. What catches his attention is craft. And what stands out about Davis, to him, is how disciplined the violence is. Yes, the knockouts grab headlines, but it's the how that matters. Davis doesn't throw bombs for the sake of it. He lures you in, sets pace, controls your choices. Watch his lead hand. Soft taps, little feints, subtle prods that disguise his intentions. Then suddenly, the trap snaps shut. Against Hector Garcia, Davis didn't overwhelm him with volume. He isolated him. Bit by bit, he pushed Garcia into a zone where footwork couldn't save him. Then came the sharp left that sent Garcia to his corner, unable or unwilling to continue. Atlas called it a calculated dissection, not a beatdown. That nuance? That's what elevates Tank from puncher to technician.
Because Shakur Stevenson is that difficult because of his style, because of his abilities, because of his eyes, because of his, his legs, that his hand speed, the way that he controls range. Tank Davis is the only guy that I can see that could possibly decipher that style.
There's also something else Teddy points out, Tank's composure. He's not a frantic fighter. He doesn't panic when things get tricky. That's why he's so dangerous late. Most young fighters get impatient. They try to force the finish. Davis does the opposite. He tightens the noose slowly. He knows that every round is another step toward inevitability. Teddy once said that Tank fights like he knows the ending, and he's just waiting for the rest of us to catch up. That's rare. That's terrifying. And it's why Atlas believes Tank is one of the most complete fighters in the game right now. Not because he's perfect, but because he knows what he is. He knows his weapons, and more importantly, he knows exactly when to use them.
You're not going to neutralize a guy like Davis all night long with just pure defense. You gotta have a mix of offense, and the real good ones like Shakur, like Mayweather, they always have that mix of offense. Another guy that Mayweather walked down was Corrales.
When most people talk about Gervonta Davis, they start with the knockouts. But the real destruction begins long before that final punch. Tank's most dangerous weapon isn't his left hand. It's pressure. Quiet, psychological, inescapable pressure. And if you watch closely, you'll see it unfolding even when he's barely throwing punches. Because Davis doesn't just fight opponents, he erodes them. One feint at a time, one step closer, one moment longer in the pocket than what feels safe. It's a slow boil. He'll spend rounds 2 and 3 reading your reactions. He's not rushing, he's setting you up. Look at the Garcia fight, not the knockout, the build-up. Every time Garcia extended his jab, Tank subtly timed the rhythm with a slip, a lean, and a mental bookmark. By round 6, he didn't just know where the body was, he knew where Garcia's mind would be. The shot to the liver wasn't just well placed, it was premeditated, orchestrated like a silent ambush.
Right, exactly. But the one he landed was
Knocked down. He was doing good. You want to pressure.
laid back more, and they want him to fight taller.
That's when you want to take it the little step back. And Davis is my time that.
There's that left hook to the body.
That left took in, but has to be careful because
This is what legends like Mayweather and Ward mean when they say Tank is smarter than people realize. This is what Tyson recognizes when he says he wants to hurt you. It's not chaos, it's control, controlled violence. Davis doesn't fight like a young man. He fights like a ghost, always near, always silent, always closer than you think. And the longer the fight drags on, the more you realize you're not facing an opponent. You're surviving a trap you didn't see being built. Fighters don't just lose to Tank, they crumble. Their timing breaks, their footwork shortens, their punches hesitate. That's not cardio, that's fear, engineered fear. The kind only a fighter with full control of rhythm, space, and time can produce. There's a mistake fans make when talking about greatness. They think it starts at the top, at the title unification, at the undefeated record. But in truth, greatness starts with recognition. When the legends of the sport, those who've bled, conquered, and survived, start saying your name with reverence, the path to immortality is already under construction. And Gervonta Davis? His name is on the lips of every living legend who matters. But here's the thing, he's still building. He's not even at his final form. Tyson said he'd be a legend if he stays focused. Mayweather said he's already the top dog, but still has levels to climb. Andre Ward, Bernard Hopkins, Teddy Atlas, these are men who don't agree on much. But when it comes to Tank, the consensus is undeniable. He's not done yet. That's not just a compliment, it's a warning.
I think Gervonta Davis is probably the greatest fighter around now, but he's got a tough fight coming up. You know, he's the top dog. There's no doubt about it. He showed that. But Barrios is a pretty good fighter. Last time I saw him fight, he was pretty durable.
What happens when a knockout artist develops an even better jab? What happens when the best counterpuncher under 140 learns how to walk down elite movers like Shaker Stevenson? The real fear isn't that Gervonta Davis is already dominant. The fear is that he's evolving. That the man who already lives in your head before the fight has even begun is getting better at accessing the controls. Legacy isn't given, it's earned. But in Tank's case, it's already being acknowledged by voices that built boxing's modern era. And as more fights get made, more belts get unified, and more contenders get put to sleep, the conversation may shift again. From he could be one of the greats, to he already is. Sean Porter was a two-division world champion who earned every inch of respect by surviving wars with Errol Spence Jr., Keith Thurman, and Danny Garcia. He knows what it means to fight big, to dig deep, and to push through exhaustion when the cameras stop romanticizing it. So when he says Gervonta Davis is the best fighter at 130, 135, and 140 pounds, it isn't just an opinion, it's a warning. Porter sees in Davis something he's seen across decades of grind, complete control, regardless of who's across from him. What makes that statement hit even harder is that Davis isn't even a natural 140-pounder. He's moved up in weight, not for comfort, but to challenge giants. Against Mario Barrios, Tank gave up height, reach, and natural size. And yet, he walked Barrios down like the ring belonged to him. That's not just dominance, that's psychological warfare. When a smaller man makes a bigger man look helpless, everyone watching knows they're seeing something special. And it's not just size. Davis adjusts his style to each division. At 130, he's fast, sharp, surgical. At 135, he's measured and precise. At 140, he turns into a quiet executioner, absorbing space, suffocating movement, and landing punches that make heavier men fold like welterweights. That kind of adaptability is what separates stars from champions, and champions from legends. Porter has also pointed to something most people miss: Davis's foot control. It's subtle. It's not flashy like Lomachenko or frenetic like Pacquiao, but it's surgical. Watch his back foot. The way he plants it before unloading. The way he circles just enough to stay outside the danger zone, yet always within striking distance. That's the kind of movement that only looks simple when a master does it. When a fighter like Shawn Porter, who's gone toe-to-toe with the biggest names in boxing, calls someone the best in multiple weight classes, it's not marketing. It's acknowledgement. Davis isn't just holding titles. He's defining what dominance looks like in the modern era. And he's doing it with a blend of patience, intelligence, and terrifying power that's becoming increasingly rare.
I alluded to his power as being generational power. And what I mean by that is he has a power at 135 that is very rarely seen. And I think that it does translate at 140.
He doesn't talk much. He doesn't do victory laps. He barely even smiles after knockouts. Gervonta Davis just walks back to his corner like it was inevitable, like the outcome was decided long before the first bell. And maybe it was. Because when the greatest minds in boxing, Tyson, Mayweather, Ward, Hopkins, Atlas, Porter, all say the same thing, you start to realize this isn't hype. This is history, quietly unfolding, violently convincing. Tank Davis isn't just winning fights. He's rewriting expectations. He's showing that you don't need to throw 100 punches around to dominate. That you can control a war with a glance, a feint, and one well-timed left hand. He doesn't need to prove he's dangerous anymore. Now he's proving he's inevitable. The scary part? He's still getting better, still refining, still adding wrinkles to a style that already breaks men. The real question now isn't whether Gervonta Davis is great. It's whether anyone in his path is ready for just how great he's becoming. If you believe greatness needs no introduction, but every punch Tank throws is one, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your favorite Davis KO in the comments. In the next episode, let's just say someone else is in the crosshairs.